Last week, I embarked on a mission to build something using some of the awesome tools available in the React ecosystem. To install the T3 stack, let's call this Twitter clone, build all the boilerplate stuff. Next thing I want to do is set up my database from Planet Scale. Great, the database is initialized. Now I can get the connection strings. So Clerk is great for managing users in your application and also for authentication. I already have an account, so I'm going to go to my dashboard. There you go, guys. This is awesome. I'm really happy about it. It's not as close to Twitter, but we got it. We got the desired look and feel. So, okay, now the next thing I want to do is build that user button. Okay, guys, after hours of debugging and checking the club documentation, I was able to style the user button that is offered by Clerk, and the final output is, and it is going to have some properties which we will pass in a minute, but this should do it. Just render. So I think it's time I shift towards the backend. I'm gonna go and create my schemas, make my database ready, and hopefully we can start showing the tweets. So first thing I need to get out this. I need a user. This user is going to be Clerk user. I'm just going to synchronize Clerk user with my user. So this is going to be an ID and it is going to be unique. And I need a relationship model here. So a user can follow many users. That relation is called user follows. Similarly, a user followed by, or maybe we can call it followers, is going to be a list of users that is going to have the same relationship. Nice. So far we have our model user. Now we can define our tweet model. So it's going to be an ID. Now a tweet can have a content, type string. This time this is going to be a varchar of 140 characters. This I haven't defined, this I haven't limited in my component, but we can do that later. Now the next thing I want is the author ID. So I'm going to establish a relationship between the user and the tweet here. I need author, it's going to be user. There you go. So we got a relationship. Prisma extension did that for us. So the author is going to reference the ID from the user table, and the relationship in the tweet table is going to be user ID. Now what I want to do is I want to do some indexing here. I think Prisma extension will do that for us too. So we need to index the tweets by the user ID. I also would like to create a bookmarks relationship here. For that, I need to call this relation as author tweets, authored tweets, and it's going to have bookmarks, which is also going to be a list of tweets, and that relation is going to be called bookmark tweets. And now I need the same thing in the tweet table, but this time tweet is going to relate the users, and it is going to call this bookmark by. There you go. I was not happy about this relationship here because I need to call this relationship as author tweets. There you go. It's looking good now. The user can have many bookmarks, can bookmark many tweets. Similarly, a tweet can be bookmarked by many users. Now let's synchronize the DB. Yeah. Look at that. We've got 4 tables created by Prisma, and the relationship tables are represented by underscore. So we have 2 relationship tables. One is the user follows and the bookmark tweets. So the next thing I want to do is get back to the user API that I created for synchronizing Clerk user into the Planet Scale database. So I'm going to go to my API user, and here I would have gotten my Prisma would have generated all the code for us. I'm just going to bring that in by npm install or doing npx prisma generate. There you go. So now here I can actually push directly into Prisma user create, and the data is going to be the ID. This whole function has to be async. I had to eliminate some ESLint rules here just to make sure that things are working. So once the user is created, we send a success message to Clerk so that Clerk knows that our API is responding. Let's check this out. I have deleted all the users from Clerk. I also have my Prisma Studio open. So whenever I sign up, a new user should be created in my database. Okay, let's check this. There you go. Nice. So now we have a mechanism to store the users from Cloud to PlanetScale. So we now have the tweet. So now the next thing I want to do is create a TRPC endpoint for me to actually store the tweet in the database. Before creating our new endpoint, let's commit all the code. Schema design. I'm just going to commit it. I'm not going to push it. I don't want to break Vessel because I haven't run the production build. Okay, let's create our tweet endpoint now. We go to my server and create endpoints here inside routers. There is an example. We're just going to copy this. Before doing that, I would like to connect plug with my TRPC so that I can create protected endpoints. To be able to create a TRPC endpoint that is part of the protected route, basically an endpoint that should be authenticated, needs to have the user ID part of the context. In order to do that, I'm going to go to server API trpc.ts and create a context variable called auth that is going to come from Clerk. So there is a guide for that in Clerk. I'm just going to copy that. So there is a guide in the alternate backend section. So if you're using TRPC, then you should follow this to make protected routes. Just going to copy this interface here. Hopefully I don't need this, but yeah, let's just import all the things we need. Yeah. And now I can return the context here. The context create inner TRPC context function. So in order to do that, I need to get things from the create context function. I'm just going to copy this. Get auth is also from Clerk. And then this is going to be ops.request. Auth is still not defined. Let's go ahead and do that. This is going to change now. So now we can access the user ID in all the TRPC endpoints, which are basically protected endpoints. So I'm also going to create a protected procedure using the guide. So there is a public procedure, and also you can create this is auth middleware here. And I can actually create a protected procedure using the middleware. Now, instead of using public procedure, in the example API we have, it is using the public procedure. Instead of using public procedure, we're going to use protected procedure. So now I don't need this endpoint anymore because I've removed the example table. So I can get rid of this. Let's quickly create a new file called tweets.ts. I'm just going to copy in some stuff from here. And now I can follow the same procedure here. So I just need the create TRPC router. So it's going to be tweets router. I can start defining my route endpoints. So the first thing I want to do is create. So this is going to be a protected procedure and it's going to be a mutation. The first thing I want to do is validate the inputs. So it's going to take input that is going to validate using Zod. So I'm just going to copy this. Zod is runtime validation. So we will have some safety here. So it's going to take a string, yes. And probably is there a length here? Maybe, yeah, we can try to validate Zod. And it is going to take a user ID, which is of string, and we need I think it should be called content, and we need what else we need. I think that's all we need from the input side. We can create a query now. This is not going to be a query, this is going to be a mutation. There you go. It's going to be an async function that will have a context. Actually, we can use the user ID from the text instead of using it from the input because this is much safer. Let's get the user ID from the context. I think it's part of the context object here. The next thing I want to do is get the input. CTX, I think it's another parameter here. So the contents is going to be input content. Great type safety here and great developer experience. Everything is auto-completed. What I want to do is I want to await here. I want to store this information inside my tweet database, a tweet table. So the author ID, actually it's the user ID, and the content is going to be the content. What else do I need for now? So the user ID, content, I haven't really added the support for media yet, but I can do that later too. So it needs a user ID, it needs a content. I think these are the required fields. Now I can use this endpoint in my tweet section component. In order to do that, I'm going to go to tweet section. First I need to expose this route. I'm just going to go to the root.ts, get rid of example, tweets router. So I need to get the value of the tweet inside a state. So this is going to be our tweet type string, set tweet. And now I can set the tweet here on change, and on click of the button on tweet click, I'm going to assign this on click here, create that mutation here using the state that I've just set here. Now I can actually create this mutation object and do tweets create use mutation. It's going to be a mutation, and let's call this create tweets. And now I can await. I need to make this an async function. Create tweets dot mutate async. Pass in the content. There you go. Get a nice autocomplete. Pass in the tweet. Now this should give me back some loading states. Hopefully, there you go. Should be a loading. Yeah, with this loading I can give some feedback to the user. I actually did not need the mutate async function. I'm just gonna use the mutate function and probably style this using the loading property. What I can do is, just for simplicity purposes, I'm just gonna say loading. I'm gonna say tweeting, not tweet. This should do it. Check this out. First tweet, Twitter clone. Tweeting. Tweeted, I guess. Let's check in our Prisma Studio because I'm not giving any feedback. There is nothing in the table because I'm gonna have to check my server. TRPC failed on create. Too small, minimum 140. Huh. There was a problem with these Zard validations. Instead of length, I needed to have max. Great. So now I think we can tweet. First tweet. Let's go to Prisma Studio. There you go. This is awesome. Great. So now I can start rendering my tweets. So I'm going to create a new file called all tweets, and I'll be rendering all the tweets in this component based on the tabs. Basically, all the for you tweets and all the following tweets would end up here. So it's going to be all tweets. It's going to take a prop from. It's going to be either for you or following. There you go. So tweets from, for you, or following. Now I need an API here to actually query all the tweets. So I'm just going to get the first 10 tweets. Get first 10. It's a protected procedure again. So this doesn't need any input, I guess. So I'm just going to directly go and define the query. It's an async function, and it's going to take a context. And now I can write my Prisma query here. Prisma tweets, tweet, find many. So always find many. I think I can do take here. 10. This will give me first 10 tweets. Now each tweet will have one author ID, and in order to get the information of the author, I need to talk to clerk. So in order to do that, I'm going to map over all the tweets. It's going to be an async function. I need to get the user information from clerk. So there is an API in clerk. You can use the clerk client, and users get user t.user ID. There you go. So now I have the user. What do I need? I need the username. Actually, user.firstname. I need the profile picture. I need the username. And then finally, I want to have the tweet information. So I'm just going to say tweet t.content. Now I need to return this. This is going to be an async function. So I'm just going to promise all this and probably await this. There you go. Now I can start querying. API tweets. Get first 10 dot use query. Great. So now I can map over the tweets and render the tweet content for now. There you go. So let's go to our home page and render this component. So the from is going to be you. Let's check this out. There you go. We have our first tweet rendered by our component. I'm going to style the tweet component. In order to do that, I think it's best if I create a tweet card. You can call that tweet card, because I want to be able to reuse this. So it's better to create a tweet card, find some properties so that I can reuse this in multiple places. So a tweet card is going to take some properties. Quickly define that. Base I props. So it's going to take profile photo. So then it means I need a profile picture. I'm going to take a name. Actually, I'm going to take a user object. Yeah, I think this is better. First name. String. So this whole thing is optional. I think for simplicity we can make all optional. And then a username. This has to be defined, I guess. And now that's enough about the user. Now let's get the actual tweet. There you go. Let's call this content. enough. Let's see. Let's render this out. What do I need? I need user, right? Next thing I need is the content. I wonder why the profile picture can't be part of the user. I'm just gonna fix that. So this profile picture is going to be part of the user. One last thing, it needs to have a border bottom. Does not look bad. Maybe I need a padding top here. Actually, PY should do. There you go. I think this is good. Maybe that's too much. Awesome. So the actual limit of characters in tweet is actually 280 and not 140. So I'm gonna have to change that because it is not allowing me to tweet long tweets. I'll just do that. But before I do that, I want to focus on image upload or media upload. So I'm gonna be bringing in upload thing, components from upload thing, setting up upload thing, and hopefully we can create media part of our tweet. So I'm gonna install all the dependencies that are needed for upload thing. We already have an account set up in upload thing, so we are good to go. Also copy the API keys and stuff. So After debugging upload thing for 30 odd minutes, I was able to figure out how to use upload thing by using our custom component. So I've created a component called upload media that is going to take care of uploading the files using upload thing. Upload thing offers certain hooks plus certain functions that you can attach to your components, and with our file image icon, I was able to get the desired result. So once the upload is successful, I can pass in a prop here called onUpload complete. This is going to give me a certain argument which I'll define now. So this is going to be a file, I guess. Yeah, so it's going to give me a file URL and file key. So I'm just gonna pass in the URL for now and capture it in my tweet section component. There you go. Perfect. Now in my tweet section, I am using upload media. So here I can get the URL of the file and probably use it in a state media here, and then I can use this, set the active media. Now once the media is uploaded, I can show that inside my tweet section here right below. Let's check this out again. There you go. That was nice. Now I want to be able to pass the uploaded media URL to my database. Currently I'm not doing that, so I need to create an input here for my create tweets router. So let's do that. So it's going to take an input and it's going to take a media if available. So this can be undefined. This is also going to be dot string optional. So now I will have access to the media URL, input.media URL, and that I can save it to the database, which I haven't defined yet. So I'll go to my schema. So a tweet can have a media URL. So this is going to be string and it can be optional. So I'll synchronize my DB and then probably send this. I will be able to get the client generated for me. Let's check this out. So tweets is my endpoint. So maybe media URL is already there. There you go. Awesome. Now I want to be able to display this inside my tweet card. So tweet card is here. So this can take a media URL. It's optional. And going to render the same thing that I rendered in my tweet section. There you go. So this should be part of the content. So I'm going to render this below the content. Props.media URL. There you go. Nice. So let's check this again end to end. Server actions in Next.js is pretty awesome. There you go. Let's check this out. Hope it got inserted. I was not having the latest Prisma client, so I had to regenerate it. So this works now. Hey there, I'm a form action. Let's maybe try a different medium. There you go. Let's try to tweet this. Make sure that we don't have any error. There you go. This is awesome. Perfect. We now have a way to fetch our media. The next thing I want to do is sort the tweets in the order I've created. The latest tweet has to appear on the top. So I'm just going to do that. Let's try that out. Before I do that, I want to create a database entry here. Column called created at, going to be date time. So I added a created at column to my tweet table. So now I can order my tweets based on this created at date. First pass in the created at. I need to get this back before I sort it. So created at will be coming from the tweet, t.created at. I need to find a way to sort. So is it order by? There you go. This should do it. I think I want the tweets to be in the descending order. The latest one should come first. So now I can go to my all tweets and also show created at. So this is going to be a date string, date or null. And I want to show the created at after the username. Yeah, let's just show this for now. There you go. Now my tweets are ordered by date. So I can do another tweet, latest tweet. There you go. So far we have the option to tweet, option to upload an image, and see the tweets that appear in the page. The next thing I'm going to do is build out some actions for the tweet, such as retweet, like, and bookmark. So I'm going to be building those components that is going to appear right below the content or the image. So before I do anything, just going to commit changes that I have. I'm going to start building out retweet, likes, and instead of analytics, I'm going to replace that with bookmarks. So you can bookmark a tweet. You can start by creating a actions panel, probably for the tweet card. So it's going to be part of this wrapper here. There you go. I'm going to do another div here. Wait, let's check this out. There you go. Not bad. I need to give it more, give some more gap or maybe padding to it. Or I can control with the margins. I guess I'm gonna go with gap for now. There you go. This is good enough. Probably it needs to have a margin top of 1 rem and maybe a margin bottom. I think my would be nice here. Now this is good. And the icons needs to have a cursor pointer. Maybe I can give it to the whole division here. And now when I hover onto each icon, I'm going to get a different color. Maybe a pink. Yeah, this is much better, much close to what Twitter has. Now I need to send in some actions as callbacks from the outside. Then I can control the actions inside the component that is actually rendering the cuts. For now, like and retweet is going to be optional. I haven't defined them. I do have a bookmark field in the database, so I can hook up the bookmark first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach an on-click handler, pass in on bookmark. There you go. And now here, for now, I can define on bookmark action. There you go. Maybe I don't need the tweet ID. I have access to the tweet ID here, so I can probably use a closure and get access to the tweet ID. So it should be fairly straightforward to access the tweet ID. The next thing I want to do is build an API endpoint for the bookmark action. Just going to be inside my tweets endpoint, tweets router, which I already have. And on bookmark, we are going to make some connections between the tweet and the user. So I can create an endpoint here, which is going to be a mutation procedure. So I can say bookmark It's a protected procedure and it's going to be a mutation, and that is going to take tweet ID as an input. So before mutation, I need to pass in the input, and the input is going to be Zod object. Maybe, yeah, that's better. Just don't want to send plain strings without any named arguments. So this is going to be a Zod object, and it's going to take the tweet ID. Probably the user ID, I can get it from the context. And this tweet ID is going to be a string. Into an async function here, and this is going to take a context and then input. And now I will have my user ID in the context, ct.auth user ID, get a tweet ID from the input. Finally, I can do some Prisma operations here. Prisma.tweet update. Just realized that I was incorrectly connecting the database tweet table along with the user table. So I'm not supposed to pass in a user ID, but rather connect the user ID with an author. So the author is actually the relationship that we are building here for a tweet. I just realized after figuring out from Prisma Studio, my tweets were not rendering in Prisma Studio, so it threw an error saying that author field does not exist, but it is supposed to be present in the tweet table. So every tweet needs to have an author, not just the user ID, but the relationship. Now I can also create a similar connections for bookmarks, but this time I'd have to update the user table also. Now I have the user table with the user that I created. This is the one that is created by clerk. I just created the other one, so I can go ahead and fix my endpoint. So it's going to be update data connect bookmark by, so where ID, there's a lot of IDs here. Tweet ID. There you go. So this should update our tweets table by connecting the user ID to the bookmarked relation. Similarly, the user needs to know all the bookmarks. So I'm gonna wait, and then I can do update, although I need to check my schema. So I do have a bookmarks relation. Tweet is the author tweets. A bookmark is the bookmark tweets. So these two relations in the user and in the tweet follow the same relational table, bookmark tweets. So I guess I should be able to update my user table the same way I did the tweet table. So I'm just gonna say bookmarks, and it's going to connect or create. No, it's just connect, I guess. And a user can have many tweets as bookmarks. So it's going to be an array of ID. Okay, checking Prisma here. This time it's going to be tweet ID, and I need to say where ID is user ID. I'm just gonna have to double check this. I hope this is correct. It looks correct. I'll quickly double check and get back to the other parts. So I guess I don't need to pass in array of IDs, but rather I can just pass in an object because we are trying to bookmark one tweet at a time. Not multiple tweets can be bookmarked at the same time. Similarly, same goes for the user. I'm updating one single user at a given point in time. Only one tweet can be associated with the user. I guess this is correct. Let's try this out. So in my all tweet component, I'm just gonna say bookmark tweet equals API tweets bookmark use mutation. There you go. I'm just gonna pass in an onSuccess callback. I'm just gonna call it here bookmark tweet.mutate. Input is going to be tweet ID, which is ID. Let's check this out. There you go. I'm just gonna try this and see. I'm just gonna go to Prisma Studio, open this, and maybe we can see the user. There you go. So we have one tweet that is bookmarked. First tweet with connection. Is that it? Yeah. And in the tweet, there is one bookmarked by user. Great. It works. Now it's time to do a refetch. I need to refetch the first 10 queries because it's been outdated. So that once I refetch, I can get back the bookmarks, mark this bookmark button as blue to indicate that this tweet has already been bookmarked. So I already have the tweets key. I'm obtaining it from get query key from TRPC React query. So this is a helper method for us to get the query key of a certain query. And I'm setting some defaults here, setting a stale time. I'm just going to move this all to the top of the function so that I have access to them. So what I want to do is I want to say query client refetch queries of tweets key. promises must be awaited. Okay, I'll do that. This has to be an async function. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to pass props dot is bookmark. I think this is good. Then I can say b is bookmark fill, I guess. Bookmark fill. Yeah. Color is going to be the same. Yeah. If not, it's going to be b is bookmark. So this is the color, and probably maybe I'll just do a 400 for this one so that there is some indication there. This is optional, or maybe this is boolean. So now I'll figure out a way to actually get the bookmarks. So how am I going to do that? In the first endpoint, already giving me all the data from the tweet. So I'm just gonna do some abstraction here. This is already getting a little clumsy here. So what I would like to do is I would like to abstract away all this information and then put it in user. Now we have a user and a tweet returned from this query. The bookmark is going to be part of the tweet. In order to get the bookmark information, I need to select certain fields from the tweet table. So I'll do that by passing in a select query. You can get the bookmark by, it's a boolean. You can get the content of the tweet. You can get the user ID. I need the user ID, media URL true, created at, it's going to be true. And now I will have access to bookmark by. It's a list of users. So I'm going to check if the bookmark by includes our user. So it's going to be find user. So it's actually u, because I already have a user defined in the upper scope. So u.id is it's equal to user.id. So this will give me a user or undefined. So I'm just going to make it a boolean. There you go. So now yeah, I need an ID as well. So now I can pass in if the user has bookmarked or not. Has bookmarked, and yeah, it's going to be a shorthand here. Is bookmarked. Looking good now. Let's check if this works. Hey, look at that. It does work. Awesome. I want to focus on likes and retweet. Maybe retweet can be a little tricky. Maybe likes is pretty easy. So next thing I'm going to focus is to pass in the like action and create the same endpoint for liking a tweet and do the same relationship connection. So in my tweets, I want to create another endpoint called like. So it's going to take the tweet ID as the input. It's going to copy this. Again, it's going to be a mutation. So I just realized that I haven't defined my like schema. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So in order to do that, I need to first think about how it is going to be represented in my current schema. So the user can like many tweets, and similarly, a tweet can be liked by many users. So it's going to have like a many-to-many relationship there. So I'm just going to create the same relationship mechanism that I did for bookmarks. So I'm just going to say likes, and it's going to be a tweet list of tweets. The relationship is going to be liked tweets, and this is going to be liked by the user. The relationship is going to be liked tweets. This should do it for capturing the relationships between user and tweets based on their likes. So I'm just going to have to create the Prisma client again. I'm just going to do that by doing npm install. And now I need to synchronize my database, PlanetScale database, with my Prisma schema. So I'm not going to do any migrations now because it's just one user. So I'm just going to do Prisma db push. There you go. So let's run Prisma Studio side by side. It's already running. Let's use this. There you go. Awesome. Everything looks the same. So now I can build my like endpoint. So I'm gonna call Prisma client here, update on the tweet. First on the tweet, let's first select the tweet. ID is going to be tweet ID, and the update data is going to be the liked by that we just created. So in order to do that, I'm just going to follow the same thing that I did for the bookmark by. So the bookmark by has a connection here. Similarly, liked by. My TypeScript server took a while to actually figure out the schema here into where ID is tweet ID. Same way, I have to update the user. So I can do context Prisma user update. This time I'm going to update the likes connect ID with the tweet ID, where user ID, where ID is the user ID. Let's just return this one. So the next thing I want to do is just like how I got the bookmarks, I'm going to check if a tweet has been liked by the user. I want to get the number of likes that the tweet has gotten as liked going to be. So I need to select like by, find, same thing. And I can return that. And finally, I want to get the number of likes. Likes count is going to be t.likedby.length. There you go. Now I want to pass in the liked by, has liked, and likes count, my tweet card. So inside the tweet, I think it's time to separate this out too. It's getting a little long. just gonna say tweet mark is liked and likes count is a number. There you go. So I need to pass in on like, which I'll do. This liked is going to be as liked. I need to change the names, make it consistent across. Likes count is going to be likes count. This is not needed. This is not needed. Not needed. Maybe I can memorize this component later so that these objects might not be the cause of re-rendering multiple times. But yeah, that's an optimization we can always do. Great. Now I need to pass in on like. So I'm just gonna get my mutation layer here. So like tweet api.tweets.like use mutation, pass in the same asynchronous callback, success callback. Need this data here. So let's do the mutation in this function. Tweet ID is going to be ID. There you go. Unknown field liked by for select statement or model tweet. Available options are listed in green. Do you mean ID? There is a field called liked by. It's gonna have to restart the server. Maybe this didn't pick it up. Let's check if the like works. Nothing really happened here. Let me check. Mutate. So maybe, yeah, I think I didn't attach it to the actions here. So on click on like. On click is going to be actions on like. Supposed to be toggle, but yeah, we can fix that later. Let's check again. Guess it liked it, but we are not showing any feedback. Like tweets, yeah, there you go. Prisma actually queried the database, so maybe I should have changed the icon. Can do that quickly. I do have my icons here. Going to be full heart, right? Yeah. So if tweet is liked, then I can render filled heart. Otherwise I can render an outlined heart. This is from React icons, and the class name is going to be this here, and I'm just gonna fill all the time. If I hover, it needs to change the color a little bit, so it's going to be fill pink 400. There you go. Amazing. So we also want to show the number of likes next to the like icon. So I need to show the likes count side by side. I need to show the likes count irrespective of the tweet is liked or not. Similarly, I'm gonna have to show the bookmarks count, but first I'll focus on the likes. What I can do is, it's much easier now. I can just so I want to show this only when I have any likes count. I want to show the likes count side by side. Tweet dot likes count. That this is going to be, I think this needs to be highlighted, right? If I have liked it, then yes, it needs to be highlighted. So I need to bring in a class name here. Let's bring in class names. It's going to have a default color. So it's going to be text. I don't know what this color is from Tailwind's point of view. So I'm just gonna do this dirty way. This is not recommended, guys. Please don't do this. Configure it using your themes or using Tailwind config. Next thing I want to do is I want to attach pink, text pink. 500 is it? 600 if the tweet is liked. There you go. I think this should do it. Let's check this out. There you go. Love it. Looks pretty neat. Similarly, I can do that for bookmark, but that's something that we can also do later. So this is pretty cool. In order to check if the disconnection of relationships works, I need to make this onLike as an onLike toggle handler so that I can dislike a tweet, or maybe not dislike, but remove my like from the tweet. In order to do that, I'm just going to have to do some changes here. I'm going to attach this onClick to the division. Yeah, maybe this could be a button. Yeah, I think button is good. Yeah, button should be good. Accessibility wise, button is a good semantic markup here. So onClick, instead of onLike, I'm going to rename this to onLike toggle. So now I know if the user is liked or not. Based on that assumption, I'm going to remove the like. So in order to do that, I'm going to nest this like procedure with like add and remove. I think that would be a nice abstraction. So what I mean by that is, so all the procedures can be nested. All the routers can be nested. So I'm going to try that out. Let's copy all this first. And I'm going to say create TRPC router, and I'm going to pass a router called add, which is going to be our add like. Similarly, remove. It's going to copy the same thing here. Now I can do add. There you go. This is pretty good. Say unlike tweet or remove like. I think that's better. It's going to rename this to add like, and this will be remove like. Tweets like remove, use mutation. Maybe this success could be a generic function. It's not minus here, it's equals on success. Maybe on settled, I don't know. Let's figure that out later. Now I can say if props dot is, if is liked, is that, oh yeah, I need to change this as liked, and I need to remove it. Remove like dot mutate tweet ID ID. Actually, else add the like. Now in my remove like mutation, disconnect the user from the tweet. So the way to do that is using disconnect. That was so simple. I hope so. Let's check this out. So refresh. Ooh, that's nice. It worked. It worked. It worked. I don't need to display the 0. So I'm just going to remove that. 0 is going to be number. Yeah, let's just do likes count is greater than 0. Tweet.likes count. There you go. Go. Nice. Now can further optimize this by using optimistic updates. I'm not going to do that now, but this is already a good enough solution for my add and remove likes. Similarly, I can do the same for bookmarks. Maybe I'll focus on that later. This is great. I'm super happy about it. Next thing I want to do is maybe I'll focus on retweet later. But next thing I want to do is actually create some users in the system and see if we can create the follows and following relationship. I think that's going to be fun. So I created another account in the system and I signed in into that account. Turns out we have a bug in the application. The relationships are stored correctly, but the way I query them is wrong. So I just found the bug and it's caused by these two statements here. So actually, I need to check if the user in context, maybe I can say signed in user ctx.auth user ID is actually equal to the users inside the bookmarks and likes. So that I can replace this with this. There you go. Now it should, yeah, this is the default behavior. So this tweet has a like and it's not liked by the signed in user. Now I can like this. There you go. This is perfect. Bookmark this. Nice. So I do have one user added. I'm just gonna add a couple of users so that I can build a nice section on the right listing some of the users in the system, and the signed in user can follow certain users in the system. So I do have some users now added into the system. I'm just gonna go ahead and show them on the right navigation, just like how you have in Twitter here. So I think I don't have a right nav yet. Maybe I do have one in the layout. I need to check the signed in wrappers around here because apparently the signed in page did not work inside the signed in wrapper, because I need to do that abstraction later. So this will be my right navigation here. So I'm just gonna create one inside pages, home, actually inside layouts. I thought I had it in layout. Let me check that. Pages, layouts. Yeah, there you go. Right nav.tsx. So it is going to be a fixed container. So I'm just gonna copy some contents from here. Maybe I need this. Yeah, probably two wrappers there. So I'm just gonna call this right nav, and let's close all the divs here. So this margin left auto is not going to be, it's going to be right auto. Has to be, I don't need this. It's a fixed one, bottom width 300. Maybe I don't need width. So this is going to have a first section called who to follow. So I'm just going to style that. It's going to be a rounded container, and it's going to have like a padding of say 0.5 rem. It's a flex, as always. It's going to be a flex column. Maybe I do have a flex column above, so I don't need to make this a flex column here. Do I need this? I don't need this. I do have a container here, so I just reuse that. It's going to be rounded bg slate 800. That's nice. It's going to have a heading to follow, and that heading is going to be of text, maybe Excel bold. Now let's just render this and see if this works inside layout. Layout.tsx. Maybe I can render it inside this. Went to the right. Instead of left 0, I'm just gonna say right 0. There you go. Not looking so great. I think it does have like a border on the left and right. Maybe I don't need a border for this. Yeah, probably this padding can be also removed. And the left nav, instead of saying border, I'm just gonna say border. There you go. So now in the right nav, I'm just gonna give some minimum height here so that it doesn't load till the end of the page. So it's going to be maybe, yeah, 15% of the viewport height. Okay, actually max height, yeah, that's good. Maybe a margin top of, say, 2 rem. Yeah, that's good. This is good enough. Okay, now this can be a padded container. I think I'll do 1 rem. Yeah, this is much better. Great. So now I can show some users here. Show the follow button. Maybe I can extract the whole thing and put it into a component. Let's call it follow. So this will be a self-sufficient comment that fetches users information, right? And now I need to create a user endpoint in my TRPC router. Similar to tweets, I'll create another router called users. Export users router, create TRPC router. Inside that I need to define my functions, procedures. I think I can just say get and then pass in some input parameters to fill in the limits. Input is going to be limit. Actually, this is a Zod object, Zod, and it's going to be a limit, which is a number. And I don't want to fetch the same user, so I will send the current. I think I can get that from the context, so I don't need to worry about validating that here. So this is going to be a query. It's going to be a context input. Yeah, there you go. So let's get the signed in user, and now I can await my Prisma query here. So Prisma users find many where not, can I do not here? Yeah, not ID is user ID, signed in user ID. And take limit, input dot limit. So we have to expose this router to the outside. Just gonna say users, user router. There you go. So now I can consume this router endpoint in my who to follow. So I can say users API dot users dot get use query, pass in the input limit. It's going to be 3. I can loop over. Maybe I'm not returning anything. I guess I'm just gonna have a return. So now I can loop over the users and create a user layout with avatar, username, and follow button. I'm gonna quickly create a reusable component for the whole user, avatar, username, first name, and the follow button. So it should be straightforward. Create a new folder called user. ESX. Its components here. Problems here. So I need a name. I can say first name. Avatar is profile picture. Yeah. And I also need to know if the user has already been followed up. Now I can render users by mapping over the users here. Okay, I need to get the user from Clerk and not from my DB. This is my DB users. I think it's good to get the DB users. Or maybe it could have been better to get the Clerk users, but I'm just gonna get the DB users, map over them. Same thing I did for tweets, and get the details of the user from Clerk client. So Clerk user, let's call this Clerk user, Clerk client, users, get user, and I can pass the ID. Now I can return whatever I want from here. I can return first name, Clerk user dot first name, profile picture. I'll pick Clerk user dot profile image URL, username, Clerk user dot username, I guess. Yeah. And finally, the following status that is available in DB, so I can select that relationship. For now, let's just focus on getting the users there and displaying them. Okay, now I should have access to the, oh, I need the ID. So it's good to have the ID. User.id. It's going to be same as Clerk user ID, but get from the DB. Username is going to be user.username, and profile picture is going to be user.profile pic. Great, I am rendering my user here. I'm just going to make it simple and pass in some conditions and conditionally render the user. Let's see if this works. Nothing happens. Maybe let's check the query. TRPC failed on users.get not found. After some debugging, I was able to get the users listed here. One user apparently does not synchronize, probably in Clerk or maybe in MyDB, I'm not sure, but looks good now. Although this looks horrible, so I'm gonna fix this styling a little bit quickly. So I had to find out which user is not found in the Clerk database. It's a little weird. Maybe something did not synchronize well. I'm gonna debug that later. But for now, I can modify the user component. Let's make this a little bit better. So what I need to do first is make sure that I this to the end. In order to do that, I need to make this a full width container. There you go. And probably give this a width of 1/2. Maybe give this a padding so that it doesn't take too much space. 0.5 rem. Yeah, that's better. And text has to be a little small. I think it's way too big now. Text md text small. Yeah, this is better. Although I'd like to give this. Yeah, this is much better. Cap. Yeah, this looks much better now. I'm just gonna increase. Maybe I can put this all in a UL. That's more semantically right. Wrap the whole thing in a list item. Maybe here. Yeah, that's right. And I can move the key. Probably this should be hyperlink, but I don't have any profile page yet, so I don't find it to be a list item. Finally, what I want to do is to be able to attach the follow mechanism. So to be able to follow a user, I'm going to create a mutation inside the users router called follow, and that is going to be a nested router. It is going to be either add or something. That's follow add or follow remove. Yeah. So now it is going to take an input. This is going to take the user ID of the person being followed. So following ID, maybe that's better, I guess. I don't know. Maybe something else is also better. And this is going to be a string. Now the signed in user is the one who is following. So I can get that from context. This is the mutation. Get the input. So I'm gonna get the input following ID, signed in user ID. Follower ID is much better. So it is from the auth user ID. Amazing. So now I want to quickly get my Prisma connections ready. So this is going to connect the signed in user with a following ID, with a person the user is trying to follow. So in that case, I'm gonna have to update, right? I'm gonna have to update by saying where the ID is going to be the follower ID. I think for readability purpose, I think I'm gonna say signed in user ID, and the data is going to be a connection here. So the signed in user is following. Maybe I should have named my schema columns a little bit more flexible or maybe better readable. Never mind. Just gonna connect. Okay, the signed in user is following the following ID. Yeah, It's going to be ID. So this is a foreign key relationship that we have in the table. Guess this should do it. Great. Now let's try to add the follow mutation. This is going to be follow user, going to be API users follow.add.mutation use mutation, and the input is going to be from the mutation variables. So that's fair. So now what I want to do is, again, I want to pass in some actions here. Say on follow toggle, this is going to be a function that is going to be passed to the user. This is a void. So on click, we are going to say on follow toggle. Now we can do the same thing by determining if the user is being followed or not followed by the signed in user and do our mutations based on that. Now I'm just going to focus on adding the following information. So follow user dot mutate variables is going to be following ID is going to be the user ID, user dot ID. There you go. And now on success, I'm going to reset my query. I'm just gonna copy that from all tweets. Yeah, let's get this here. So let's import React query. Actually, TRPC React query. Yeah, query defaults, query client. It's gonna get the query client quickly and stack React query. And this time I'm gonna get the key of my users key. Finally, let's refetch the query. Await this. Great. Now I need to change the logic of this guy here. If I get back is followed relationship information from the query, then I can use that information to show an appropriate message. So I'm just gonna go to my users. Inside my query, I need a way to figure out that information. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some selection here, not inside this one, but yeah. So I'm just gonna say I need to get the following information here. So this is going to be true. ID is going to be true. Yeah. So after I obtain the following information, I can do my filtering here. User dot following. So this is a list of users. So now for every user, I need to know if I am following that user. So user, if const is following will be, so the following should have yeah, so the following should have my user ID, right? So because we are saying I'm connecting my user ID with other person's user ID. So in that case, following relationship table should have my user ID. So let's make this fu dot ID should be signed in user ID. When I say my user ID, it means the person who is signed in. So now I can do is following. Let's do a boolean for this. So it's a boolean. Okay, you can say I'm pretty confident about this one. Let's see if this works. I'm just gonna open my DevTools. Yeah, styling is awful here. Who to follow? This shouldn't have been there. Yeah, it's fine. We can fix the styling later. Thing happened there. Not really sure if my query failed, or I think the queries were successfully running. Maybe I didn't get the right relationships from my refetch. Let's refresh and check this out. Yeah, I think I'm not getting the right relationships. So if I can debug this data here, following is false. Following is false. Let's check my DB. So user. So this is the user following. I guess I'm this user here, and I'm following one user, which is 2QKI. Yeah. Damn, I should have added a name column to the user table to make it a little easier to find out. But looks like our mutation worked. The only thing that didn't work is the query. So I'm saying following. Okay, I'm trying to fetch the followers. So here I'm clearly saying don't fetch my information, don't fetch myself. When you don't fetch myself, I need you to fetch my followers, or maybe the persons I'm following, the users that I'm following. So if I can get the followers of all the users that I'm fetching, now I can find the relationship. Guess it should work now, if I'm not wrong. There you go. Sweet. Nice. This is really nice. Now I can quickly build unfollow quite easily. I don't know what happened here. Ooh, app router circularly references itself. So if I'm following the user, then I can unfollow them by saying, just gonna copy this. Still haven't defined this. Let's go ahead and do that. Just gonna copy the whole thing. Yeah, I know what I need, the following ID. And instead of connect here, I'm just gonna disconnect. That should do it. So if I'm following a user and if I end up clicking the button, I'm gonna unfollow them. I do see some TypeScript issues. Maybe it takes a little while to sync, but yeah, let's check this out. There you go. This is nice. This is really nice. Now let's sign out and sign in with a different user. Saving everything here. There you go. I think there is some weird thing in Clerk where if I sign out and sign in back again, the context is not updating. So maybe I need to figure that out. So now I can follow from other users too. This is great, guys. I'm so happy about the outcome of this whole things here. You can unfollow. Amazing. Pretty sweet. Now, in order to build the following tab, it's so easy to get the list of tweets from your followers, which should be easier. I can reuse all the components. I don't need to worry too much about building that. It's just a matter of modifying my API or maybe creating an endpoint based on for you and following. So that's pretty sweet. So I'm super happy about the whole session, guys. I don't think I'm gonna build anything further, because I think I'm gonna do that asynchronously and push it to GitHub so that all this code is available for you guys for free.